Hey everyone, hope everybody had a great weekend. Thanks for joining me on December 18th. And as always, we are not financial advisors, and everything you see on here is for educational purposes only. Alright, let's get started with BTC. And this green line here shows that we're going to be switching from a sideways market into an upward market. Now keep in mind, we're still going to have retraces, and we'll probably have a nice retrace in the beginning of the upward year. With that said, this is probably gonna be my last free video. Now that we're back into, overall like a bullish momentum, it's time to like kind of lock down the room again to where it's like I don't want just anybody joining it anymore. I'm not sure if I'll leave it open to where like, hey, there's a little bit spots open just so we don't get over full like last time where it was just too crowded and too noisy, or if I'm gonna make it to where like you have to be referred by somebody. But we are going to eventually lock the room back down again, so not everybody's going to be able to get in. Space will be limited, just because, again, we want to keep the room small. We want to keep the information within the group. We don't want, the rest of the world knowing all of our information, because then that's how things tend to change. But with that said, the last 2 days I mentioned how we should start dropping back down, and we have, but we've only dropped a little bit, nothing too much. I do expect us to drop a little bit bigger. If we put the pattern over here, we are due for a big drop, like a really big drop. It could technically be over here too, because we talked about how it might do a little, we did like a little U here that could be this here. So we could be this, where, we also went up and we're also due for a big drop. So whichever route, this scenario seems to be playing, we are due for a big drop. So, hang tight if we do. When we were all the way up here, I talked about how this was our top. I was like, hey, all of our fibs are lining up. This appears to be our top. This is where you want to start taking your profits. Because everything else, again, back here, you'll be taking your profits. Back here, maybe, well, some of these coins did push a little bit up. So now you're even. Shiba, nice little pump, but not back down. We'll talk about that shortly. But like Doge, this is more for like the people who can't take profit. If you're in the United States, you really can't take profit. But we called top over here. Now what's interesting here is, in our group Zoom last night, someone mentioned, oh well, if Bitcoin drops, will the alts drop? And I was like, yeah, they will. Usually they drop harder. And here's a good example. Look at this candle here for today, right? And look at the alts. Big old red candle. So Bitcoin, remember, whatever Bitcoin does, the alts tend to do it twice as big. So if Bitcoin drops a little red candle, they do a little bit bigger. Whichever coin you look at, well, except Link's doing pretty good today, but you look at Matic, you look at Near, Solana, it's pretty deep, not too crazy, but pretty big. And you look at this, and you can kind of see like everybody's kind of tilting down. Talked about how it would probably do like an ABC scenario, so that's on its way back down. Move it back here. And then so going over the dollar, remember we left two bullish targets here. We dropped, but now it pushed back up. Now it's kind of just going sideways. Well, it went sideways. Now it's time for over like the weekend, because it doesn't print anything. I can see it's going back up to 102 and then eventually going back up to 106. So if this starts to push back up slowly, Bitcoin's going to start doing its little move down slowly too. That's the video, but continues to, do the opposite of each other. And then looking at Shiba real quick, because, there was a good chance it could have had a nice run. They announced some news on Shiba that even I don't even know what that news is. Something about like, oh, they're gonna try to make it like useful or something like that. And it had a nice big pump, like 20%. But after that, completely dumped back down. Now I did find a pattern that does kind of match it a little bit, with this nice little push up, and then retraces back down. And it had like this shape where it goes like this, where it does it perfectly. Then it goes up like that. And then this looks to be this part here where, it goes high, but then it comes back down low, then it goes back to the middle. And then it has one more spike before it comes down, up, down, up, down, and eventually starts to make its way back down to its open target. So that actually could play out. So if Shiba pumps like that one more time, and it sucks though because it's not a big move, it would be, like if you compare that, it would be all the way up to like 1600. So from where it's at now, it'll come back up about like 60%. Now we have a type of woo-woo like scenario to play out where this thing could maybe do a really, really big move. But it's going to be tough. We would need something really good. Now, it is holding at the bottom trend lines. So that's always a good sign. Just like that. So that's a good sign for it to bounce back up. If we can stay above this trend line, it's a good sign. If we drop below it, though, it's really bad. I mean, it's already a bad sign that it gave back his, its gains 100%. But in theory, it could technically drop a little lower before it can bouncing back. So we could drop one more red candle and then start to push back up. But it would have to be quick because it's running out of space, right? Like all this, each one of these candles represents a few candles. So this candle here could be like these 3 candles. So I'm not too sure how this is going to play out. Maybe that's enough to fulfill it. Because if I do this here, see, it should technically dip down here, but maybe it doesn't fill it. It stays where it's at now, and we push up. So if we do, I was hoping, this woo-woo call would have played out because that would have been a nice way to take profit. But if not, man, I don't know if I want to take profit with 60%, a 60% move, and then it drops back down like 46. Cause it's not worth it. Cause if I get out, I gotta put money aside for profits because I would be in profit. Not a lot, but then when I come back in, I'll come back in with a little bit less because I put some aside for taxes. So I don't know if I'll get out because I was thinking about maybe just selling it and get rid of Shiba once and for all. Remember, I'd rather have those than Shiba. I'm just waiting for Shiba to do a nice little pump so I can get out of that and move away. But you can tell everybody's kind of starting to reverse back down. And again, it'll be a slow reversal for these guys to like hit their target. Right. And then this will put us around like, oh, perfect. It'll put us around, our specific time. Which it showed it, but I'm not going to say it. Other than that, everybody's retracing nicely. I expect a lot more retracement, so we'll see how that plays out. And other than that, I wanted to keep this update kind of short because my last update's been pretty long. But all right, I'll see everybody in the Discord.